All right, I'm gonna be trying my best to make a video of this because no one that I have found has a true video of a conversion swap from a Krash stock engine to a Yamaha 701. This is a 23 model foot rocket. Unfortunately, I got 5 hours on the ski last summer in 24, and it's just given me nothing but troubles. Really disappointed in that. My suggestion is, if you want to buy a Krash, they're awesome to ride. I love it. I would personally, if I were to do it all again, buy a used one with a 701 already in it. Take that motor out, build it how you want to build it, fix whatever hack job the last person did, and start from there. You save a lot of money. This ski alone, brand new, cost me about $16,000 because I had a lot of little stupid stuff added to it, like this right here for the throttle cable, the inline filter, the flow, this, I don't know, this is a limits the flow or adjust the flow for the water to the exhaust. I have this little ball here for water, so that way when you hop out of the water just automatically drains out. You don't have a screw. I have a better spring here for the trim. Just little stupid stuff like that. And yeah, so all set and done, after the $16,000 you spend on the ski, with the stuff I had done to the ski, not what it just comes as, from factory. I just bought an exhaust, just a B pipe. That was another 800 bucks. I had this 701 out of actually a 550 Kawasaki that somebody 701 swapped it, and I bought that last season because I was gonna get that one ported in big board. But it turns out that motor is a 61X, and everybody says that you should have the 61T, bigger reed case, and when you go ahead and port it and big bore it, you can get a lot more airflow to those cylinders and make more power. So I ended up buying that motor. I'm not gonna big bore it or port it this year, because the motor with got the motor aftermarket intakes and dual 44s was $1,400. So I'm gonna take the e-box and whatever I need from that motor to make one good motor, hardware and stuff like that. So 14 for the engine and the intake stuff, then another 800 bucks for the exhaust, and the motor's not even in yet. My plan is to, real quick, any of the forums you read says that basically people say they can just bolt these right up. What I've seen is that you can take that drive shaft coupling right off that engine and put the Krash one onto that. So that's good. And then other people say for the bed plate, people either just drill new holes in the bed plate that holds down the Krash motor, or they get some different I know I'm not saying this right, but there's different bed plates on the side of the hole where it gets bolted down for the 701 bed plate. Excuse me if I'm not saying everything right, you know, but so yeah, this is where the point is. I probably won't film much removing the engine, just because that's not the interesting part. You got to figure out a new setup for the 701 e-box to get mounted up against this firewall. I have a ski outside that I am planning on to see if it has an aftermarket plate and that for the 701 e-box already. So I'm going to see if I can bolt that up to the firewall here. And then for the fuel tank, so this is the fuel injected model. I believe 23 was the first year, don't quote me, for the injection. So I was thinking about possibly taking the fuel pump out of here and, you know, trying using this tank, but the more I think about it, I'm gonna need 2 main feed lines, a return, and a breather. This tank has a breather, but it only has 1 main line. So I might buy a older Krash tank that comes out of, you know, like the 22 and below models where it is carbureted, so that way I have those fuel ports. And I found one on eBay for $90. JSpower Sports sells them for, I believe, $118, $120, something like that. I was looking the other day. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I want to say if you find an exhaust with just the manifold and the you know, this piece for the 701, that you might be able to use this expansion chamber. But I might play around with it just to see. I have a full exhaust with a water box. Yes, you can use this water box that's already in it, but the water box I'm getting is an aftermarket one with the B pipe, so I might end up just using that one. So yeah, I'm gonna start tearing this thing apart, and then I'll probably be back on the camera once I get everything out and start trying to line this in. And I'll do my best to document this because, once again, not a lot of people, I don't know, I haven't seen a video of a full swap yet, and I'm really interested to see how this is going to go. And for other people out there like me that's going to do this, have something to go off of, and you can learn from my mistakes. So this is the ski, the way it sits. And yeah, so I'm gonna go for it. Just for some context, these things are really tight. It's hard to work on them. For me, working on this, trying to fix it before any of this idea was coming up, best way to start removing everything, take your battery out first. Then you're going to need to disconnect this expansion chamber, not from the header here, from, you know, the rubber boot down here holding them together. Take that out. You know, take this tubing out and just put this exhaust, lay it down. Then you're going to want to take off your your oil injection computer there. Take that off the side of the tank. You'll be able to sneak the tank this way a little bit and take that off. Unbolt your oil tank, slide that forward, and then you'll be able to get this fuel tank out a lot easier. And if you have fuel like me, you won't really spill any. So that's a good tip, and I'll give out more tips as I go. All right, everybody, update. I got a lot of it out. I'll explain to you how I got it out. So fuel tank's out. I took that expansion chamber out. And then, so this head pipe here, you couldn't, actually let me backtrack. So once I got the gas tank out, I started taking out the main engine bolt, like mountain bolts. They're 13s. These three were really easy to get out. That last one was harder, so what I did is I took the starter out, took that guy out to get to that last one. And so I slid the engine forward so that way I can get to all these hoses and electrical connectors. What I'm going to do is mark with a piece of tape of which hose goes to what, so that way when I, for cooling hoses I should say, so that way when I go to put that engine in, I'm gonna just put them back to where these go. So, but what I did notice is that, so I took the coupling down there, and this was, get this light here, this was the rubber bushing in between the drive shaft and the engine drive shaft. It is just roasted, like completely gone. And if you look, sorry about the light, if you look, let me zoom in a little. If you look down there, there's actually damage to that coupling there. Not super serious. I mean, it has lots of good wear, but that's pretty bad. And if we, I believe we rotate it, look at that. It's all damaged. So that was really cool to see. I do not know how the one on the for the motor side is, but I was amazed. But yeah, so I'm gonna keep going on this. I'm gonna disconnect all these lines, electric connectors, and yank this motor out. For the pipe here, it won't clear the side here to move the engine forward, so you just unbolt that and hang it off to the side and then pull the engine forward, and then you can slip it out. But yeah. All right, so got the engine out. Here's that damage. It was shown earlier on the other side. So I might have to get a new coupling for both ends for that motor, but what I'm gonna do is take that one off and see if it threads onto that before I order one, obviously. I got all the electrical stuff off. The only stuff is left is the harness going to the pump, bilge pump, and the power plug. And what I'll probably do is remove this power button, put my primer there, and then for the bilge, this is just a power and ground, and I'll put a connector here that goes to the batteries. That way I can still have my bilge button. At least that's what I plan on right now. But yeah, it's basically where I'm at right now. Okay, so I was going to use the factory bed plates, but nothing was lining up correctly. So I ended up buying these off Amazon, these aluminum plates, and just drilled. I just need to flush these bolts out, especially underneath here. I have those sitting here because it'll hold the motor mount up. But right now, I just have it sitting in here so I can mark where I need to drill these holes. And back here on the coupling, I'm kind of just going around seeing if the distance, so I have equal distance right here. Zoom in right here. Right now, I have it at 2.02, I believe, millimeters all around, which from eyeball looks really good. What I'm gonna do now is mark these with a pen, or a Sharpie, whatever, where the bolts need to be drilled. I'm going to slide the motor forward, and I'm going to put in my rubber, I don't even really know what this is called, the drive shaft rubber piece. I don't really know the technical name for that. Put that in, slide the motor back, and see how it looks there, and then go from there and see if it's accurate to have the bolts where they are, or if the motor needs to go back further, come forward further. So that's where I'm at right now. What I did, honestly, is I just took the original mounts, put them on the plate, and just marked the holes there and drilled them, and everything, I was able to get it spot on, luckily. I didn't have to wallow the holes out or anything like that. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to come back here, or I guess I can just do it right here. Let me set you down. So I'm going to take my Sharpie, if I can find where I put it. Oh, it's right here. Gotta make sure I get this one right in the middle. Can't pick this step up. Slide the motor forward. Going to put this guy in. All right, so I ended up, I did dots here, but they're kind of not really centered. So what I did, I just did lines here so I can just match it up in each corner. And now what I'm doing is I'm taking my feeler gauge. That goes in nice, not a lot of resistance, and I just spin the motor over a little. Just go one at a time and make sure that it's good. It honestly looks like I go back a little bit further. I'm gonna do that, see what happens. All right, so that's back all the way. But I know that you don't really want this gappage here. It's really close. You don't want it to bottom out. All right, I don't really remember where I left off, so I might repeat myself. So I got these bed plates in that I ordered off of Amazon, just aluminum, and I tapped and drilled new holes. What I did is I just laid the original bed plates on top of these, marked the holes that go into the hull, and drilled there. Now, the old bed plates had these flush, or I should say countersunk bolts. I think I'm gonna do eventually swap these out and put washers, like regular bolts and washers. If you have, I was lucky enough to, there's one underneath each one of these motor mounts, and there's enough room underneath the motor mount where it doesn't need to be flush. My recommendation is to drill the bed plate holes first for the hull, set them in, bolt them down, place the engine in with these motor mounts loosely in, and get your alignment here on your other coupling, and then mark where you need to drill these holes and tap them. That's what I would do. So now that these are in place, my engine lines up really nice. I may need to shim it a little, but otherwise it lines up super nice. And I got the engine going on. I didn't film me putting this head on. There's plenty of videos out there if you want to learn how to install this head if you've never done it. Right now, I'm working on the reeds. I got new, to rebuild these reeds. These were pretty bunged up. So right now I'm working on that. And then after I have all the intake stuff done and built up without the carbs on, just the intake manifold with all the gaskets and stuff, I'll finally have the engine bolted in place and remaining in, and then I'm going to start doing my wiring system. And I'll probably pick up the video from where I probably have the wiring in. I won't film that. It's up now. So I'm gonna put the box, the e-box, back here. Now this bracket here, for the original electronics, you could use it. I mean, you could, you'd have to cut this off, take off this piece, and then you can, maybe either drill. I haven't marked it up or anything, so you might need to drill holes or something. But as of right now, I have a part skis outside that I think I'm gonna use, and just bolt that in place here, and do it that way. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Okay, I skipped a bunch of stuff, and sorry about that, but I had somebody come over and help me put this engine in. We just got rolling and putting stuff together. So I got the electrical box mounted in there. I had a part ski where this engine came out of. It was out of a 550, and it had a bracket already in there for the electrical box. So I didn't have to make a bracket. I drilled 2 holes and bolted it in through, there's two bolts underneath here. Those 2 holes. Those 2 holes down there. It's hard to see, but they're down there that hold that bracket in, and then I bolted the electrical box to the bracket. I already spun the motor over. It spins over, and I got sparks, so that's good. Right now, I just put the exhaust in. I'm going to put the water box in. Now, for my application, since this is a 23 foot rocket. It was fuel injected and it had a different gas tank. So, and it had a filler neck for this hole right here. And between this exhaust and the electrical box, there was interference with the filler neck, so I had to take that out. And what I'm gonna do is basically, I have a piece of aluminum right here that I'm just gonna place over top of it so I don't have any leaks. That's what I'm doing for that. I do have a throttle cable coming for this, but I just put that in for temporary. This one is just worn right here and it's very wiggly, but it still functions good. So this is kind of where I'm at right now. Probably should be able to fire it up today. So this is how I did my coolant lines. Let me get a pointer here. This guy. So you have one outlet from the head going to your exhaust, your top of your exhaust. Okay. Now the outlet for this goes into a T. All right, the T piece. The T piece comes down here and into the exhaust over here. Okay. And remember how this one was going in? Well, you have this line right here that is not a T piece at the bottom of the exhaust, and it shoots out there. And for your final two cooling lines coming from your pump, you have a line on this side of the engine, or this side of the firewall, and a line on this side of the firewall. Those two go to your manifold here. One here on cylinder number 1 and cylinder number 2. So real quick, 2 firewall goes down to each exhaust manifold cylinder. 1, 2. Comes up through the motor. 1 comes, number 2 cylinder comes out, goes into a T. Half comes out, and the other half gets sent down to this guy here. The other one comes out. Here's my runoff hose line. Comes out of the head into the exhaust. Comes down at the bottom and comes out this line right here. Now it doesn't really, for me, this one goes to the bottom of the expansion or the down pipe, and this one goes to that T I have. That part doesn't matter, you can have them swapped around, but mainly you want, because you don't want this water coming from the head, like traveling through the engine, and the exhaust right here, down the exhaust, and then out into a T to go back in your exhaust. So that's probably gonna be really hot. So you're gonna want to use this water here that comes through the engine, goes into a T, then down to there. I hope that helps. So yeah. Okay, so I got the exhaust in and the water box. So this water box I got with the exhaust I bought. You can use the factory Krash water box over here. You can still use this. I want to try this out because it came with the exhaust, so I want to see how it is. But you still can use that OEM one. You will have to get a different tubing because the stock piping or exhaust tube, this diameter is smaller than the diameter of this expansion pipe. So I was able to have the piping that came with the exhaust so it could fit in, but it's actually this diameter on the big side that fits on the water box. So you will have to get, if you're going to use the original water box, you will have to get some tubing just for that, and then the stock output side fits perfectly you don't have to change, obviously. I don't know why I put that in. Anyways, so next I just got my breather lines in, as you can see there. So since I'm using the stock gas tank, I was thinking about getting like a 2020 the carburetor model of the Krash to put in here, because I have carbs now. But you know, I already have a lot of money in this build, so I'm gonna save it for later. But so what I did is I just bought one of these. This is actually for a snowmobile, and all it is, you drill a hole, and you put this rubber retainer in, and then you push, you know, this plastic fitting in, and when you push that in, it expands the rubber, and then I just have a line going down to the bottom of the tank. So I'm going to use this as my feed. I'm going to see how it does on a single feed with a split. And then this is going to be my return. I took out the whole fuel pump system, so this will just directly drop down to the tank. And then the stock battery box will go right back in, so you can strap down your tank. And all I have left to do is run fuel line and put fuel in it and start this thing up. Oh, and you're probably wondering, if you're using this OEM tank, for the fill fuel, what I'm gonna do is this piece that was running as my feed to the fuel tank, all I'm gonna do is just make a cut right here and have this being 90 degrees up, and use the stock fill nozzle. Cap this line and just put that right on top there, and then still have the fill cap. So that's how I'm going to do that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. All right, so I'm finishing up the ski. I already test run it, started up good. What I'm doing is I wanted to keep this original bilge pump button, and so that was I had this black plug going into the original harness for power and ground, and I didn't want to just cut that plug, do butt connectors. I kind of wanted to make it a little more clean, and if I want to disconnect it, I could. So I found these on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description. Here's the bag it came in. So those just went right in, and then I put my two butt connectors there. And now I'm just running the wires around to the battery so I can keep this factory on and off bilge switch. And then if you remember, I wasn't able to use the original fill for the gas tank that runs through here to here. So what I did is I just I had a piece of some aluminum, and I cut it to size and just painted it orange to just block off that. And all I did was use RTV to seal it. I'm going to see how the RTV does with vibration and just heat. It should be fine, and make sure that no water gets in, but if RTV doesn't work, then I'll have to go to something else. I wanted to use RTV because if I ever wanted to take that out, it would be easy to clean up and take off than using some kind of hard sealant. So that's what I did there. But after I'm done routing this stuff, this ski is complete, and my next video would be me out doing its first test run out in the water, hopefully this weekend. So yeah. Okay, got the ski out here, got a little bit of gas in it. I'm gonna fire it up. I really have a good Well, I got that idle adjusted, and so now it can actually idle on its own. Thing sounds mean, that's for sure. So the next step is to bring it down to the water and tune up these carburetors. And also, yes, you can run it out of water, just don't run it too long. Like, I have my hand against this cylinder head or sidewall and the head, and it's not even, it's warm, but it's not burning my hand. So, you can still run it like that. All right, cool.